Hey, good evening and blessings out there, Facebook. Hey, it's your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Listen, so glad to be coming to you tonight on this Sunday night, Central Standard Time. It's about 8:37, and we have a great panel lined up for you. But listen, I've been kind of grinding here lately, like really, really grinding. And I've been doing a lot of traveling, going back and forth, helping new agents that are coming on, helping them really begin to help families change their financial trajectory. And I love it. I promise you, I love it. There's nothing better in the world I like doing than helping other people come online to do what they want to do, to be able to achieve their dreams. But here's the thing I want to talk about. I've been wanting to do this for some time, where I wanted to start a podcast where maybe every week, whether it's a Sunday night or whatever. And here's the thing, my schedule is just kind of really, really hectic. And so I can't really just commit to one day, but I'm going to try to do that. You all have my word. But here's the thing, I really want to talk about the price of success, right? Because I know everybody really has their own definition of what success is, right? Some set the bar really high, some set the bar really low, some don't even have a bar, right? But I want to talk about that tonight. And what I've decided to do is get entrepreneurs who I respect to come on and talk to you about the price of success. And are you willing to pay it? Are they actually willing to pay it? And so I kind of want to just go from that thing. Now, here we go again. I know right now we're kind of coming up to the Super Bowl. And I saw a quote that really, really caught my attention. And I'll share it right here with you in a second. So it's from Vince Lombardi. And it simply says that the price of success is hard work, dedication to the job at hand, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the best of ourselves to the task at hand. And so I think that that's a wonderful definition of success. But here, what I can also tell you, that anything that gets measured gets improved. And so I believe that you have to have some form of measurement in order to be able to say you were successful. Well, either way. So as we get ready to get into it, I'm glad to have on tonight the CEO of Legacy Bridge Builders Financial Services here in Covington, Tennessee. None other than my brother and my friend, the man who's going from Greece to greatness. Y'all better hear that now. If that's him, he's going to get a big gold chain and say from Greece to greatness. Mr. Bobby, the money man, declaring. Bobby, welcome to the chat tonight, sir. How are you?
Hey, thank you very much, Brother Rod. Thank you so much, man. I gotta tell everybody. I told you earlier, but I gotta tell everybody. This man is sharp right here. Look at him. All fine for y'all this evening. Got the finest threads on tonight. Yes, so look, man, I greatly appreciate everything you do, man. The impact and the influence that you have in my life is so far beyond words, man. I just can't give you enough accolades. And thank you for bringing me on the show tonight.
Blessings, man. Listen, brother, that's what we do, right? Because again, again, you're a great man in yourself. Again, I know you're doing some great things out there on your own here. You're pastoring your church now, and you've now stepped up into that role as pastor. I know you're a lead mechanic out there on the job and things of that nature, a lead technician on the job. So I know you have some great things that are going on as well. You're leading in the Taekwondo industry over there and everything. So again, so let's talk, right? So how do you, again, you're married, you have your own podcast. So we're here now, so here we are.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah. So you got a lot of things going on too, man. So talk to me a little bit about what success means to you. Let's talk like that. What does success mean to you?
So, I think it's different for everybody, but it is that measurement, So where do you set the bar? What are you comparing yourself to everybody else, or are you setting your mind in a place where whatever you put your hands to, that you see great things come about? So my purpose and my plan in whatever I do, that I would see people's lives greater than they were before me.
Right.
That's my measurement of success, is that anything that I can do to enrich someone's lives,
Right.
then I'm becoming successful.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is from a servant standpoint, right? You want to make sure you measure your success based on how the harbor is raised around you. Is that a statement?
Yes, sir. Right.
Absolutely.
So if I were to just gauge my success on a dollar amount,
Right.
then what is my purpose? Because if you look at the history of the dollar,
Mm-hmm.
you have to worry about what the dollar is valued.
That's powerful.
So you have to look at what you're associating value with. So if I associate my success with the enrichment of lives, then I believe that I've hit the mark.
Absolutely. And I often have a saying that I say quite often that, people are the greatest resource.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you pour into people and build people, the more successful you'll be, because you never know who it is that you'll actually be pouring into and what they will become based on you pouring into them. So again, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with that. Now let's talk a little bit about measurement, right? Because again, so as pastors, you and I know sometimes we give and we give till it hurts, right? And not just, from a tangible standpoint, but the intangibles, right? When you find yourself, wanting people to succeed, but they don't necessarily have the mindset.
Right, exactly right.
Let's talk about that. Let me frame the question right. So, how do you still continue to measure success off of that when you turn around and see that, hey man, my investment, I'm not necessarily making a return on? Let me say it like that.
So in that instance, I got to make sure that I'm not trying to take it too personal. Because you can't please everybody. You know that. If you're the pastor of a church, you can't please everybody.
Sure.
But the gauge in that is, where am I overall? Because some take, some leave, some gives, and so I have to look at it as they just don't see the value yet.
Right.
So I don't give up, but I give them a little bit, or I give them a good bit. And if they choose to walk away or not accept it, I just have to give them some time until they see the value. When they see the value, then they come running. Wait. I see what you were saying. Now I get it. Now I understand. Right. And 9 times out of 10, man, they come back around.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And that's the thing, that when you do that, it's like sowing seed, right? And the Bible let us know that a sower went forth to sow, and it talks about all that. But it's just amazing, man, that, when it comes to success, I love what you said, and we'll go back. Love what you said about how it's not always money, right? Because money changes, right?
Yes, sir.
It always raise, there's always going to be somebody out there that has more money than you, right?
Yeah. So in that aspect and in that thought, so what if I said that I was successful because I made 6 figures a year? Well, 6 figures, bottom 6 figures, just $100,000. I can say, yes, I hit the mark. $100,000 this year. 20 years ago, that was a lot more money than it is today.
That's right.
So are you really gauging and measuring true success, or is it slanted? Wow. Is it off?
Wow. I mean, and that's a fantastic point, right? And I think, and again, anytime we do this, there's really no main narrative. I just love free flow conversation. So let's talk about the industry right now. Let's talk about the workforce, right? Right now in the workforce, are you seeing in your industry where you can't get people to commit to a job?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
absolutely.
So I believe that we can say with a broad stroke that we see across the industry that people are not necessarily engaging in the workforce or whatever the case may be, right? Some people are like, hey, we're waiting on them stimmies to come back, whatever the case may be. Right?
Yeah, right.
Right. So how, for somebody like that, and again, how does someone like that develop success or develop an appetite for success?
So if we're looking at the individuals that, and we'll just say, just being honest here, all transparency, that if they don't have a good work ethic, then you have to get them to see the value in something. And maybe they've been living out someone else's dream.
Okay.
Maybe they haven't seen exactly what it is that they can be successful in. That, and how many people really remember what their guidance counselor from high school said that they would be successful in?
Right.
Because if I can think back over it, my guidance counselor would have never told me that I was going to be a forklift mechanic. They would have, obviously, we didn't have podcasts back then. They would have never said I was going to be a podcaster. They would have never said that I was going to be successful in the life insurance industry, right?
That's right.
They would have never said that I would be a pastor of a church. At that time, that was not my direction. That was not my personality. So I had to find the places in my life that were beneficial for my dreams. And I have people in my life like Rod Hickman, Dennis Peeler, and a handful of others that really helped me to see and manifest my dreams instead of somebody else's.
Blessings.
So before that, yeah, I had good examples of working individuals, but I thought that my life was going to be nothing but hard work for somebody else.
Wow.
So that's a big place. That's a big discussion. But where are the people today? Are they really working for someone else's dreams?
Right.
While theirs are being shattered.
Absolutely. And I think the answer to that is yes. I think that people become sold out to other people's dreams because it's easy. Right? It's easy.
Oh, yeah.
And if you work well for me and I pat you on the head and say, hey, man, thanks, appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
Then you'll do whatever I ask you to do, right? How many times have we seen that on the job where, jobs be like, hey, man, we can't pay you what we want to pay you. Hey, but here's some pizza, right? Or, hey.
Yeah.
You know what
right?
I'm saying? While they're making money hand over fist. Now, again, y'all know I'm a capitalist to my heart. I believe wholeheartedly in capitalism. Capitalism has done my family well. So you ain't going to never hear me complaining about capitalism. But what I do want to say is I think that there comes a point in time where people buy into someone else's dream, someone else's vision, and it allows them to be fulfilled. But there's gonna come a day when regret for not following your own dream is gonna wear you out. And that's where I think that, and I want to really kind of have this open dialogue because, man, ultimately, man, I'm this kind of guy, man. I'm either gonna learn or I'm gonna win. One of the two. There's no losing, right? Because I'm in uncharted territory, right? Because I think back, and I know we got similar, backgrounds or whatnot, but I think back to the way I grew up, the way I grew up, I shouldn't be where I am right now. If I would have followed the model that was set before me, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And so that's why I really want to get an entrepreneur standpoint, someone who's still working a job, someone who's still building their business, and just to kind of see like how, from your viewpoint, how are you now divvying up your time to be able to chase after your dream? Because I know the conversations we've had, but I want everybody else to hear about, where you are as far as chasing your dream so that you could be with your family, so that you can do the things that you want to do, so you can have the devotions and stuff like that with your family. So talk to me about that.
All right. So number one is communication with the family, because I have my hand in so many different things, and all things require time.
Right.
But also my youngest kids, they don't understand the value of money. So no matter how hard daddy works, if daddy is just working his fingers to the bone so that I could buy them the next toy or the next best video game, then they don't understand the value of what I've gone through to get that.
That's right.
But what my children do understand is time.
Right.
They do understand me sitting in the floor and playing with them and getting involved with their imagination. So there is a sacrifice on all levels,
right,
of where I want to be, but time management is very important.
Right.
You can't just be all work and no play. Right. And I'll be the first one to tell you, all work and no play makes Bobby a dull boy. And so I have my toys, and we have our fun. We take our camping trips. We do our family days and things like that. We make time to be together. And with teenagers, you really, really have to push that button and say, hey, you got to spend some time with me today. Because you look at everybody, like, I have to grab my iPad here. It's like everybody wants to live through this. Like, oh, I see something going on. Let me get it on camera. Let me get this. Right. Instead of living in the moment
and
taking it in, enjoy it. And so I want to see the success in my family. Right. I want to see that we are a family as a whole. But the communication has to be there for them to understand, hey, look, daddy's going to have to go to work. Daddy's going to have to do some things and be away late some nights, so that you can have adventures, have some time together. So if we sacrifice a little bit today, then we can have a great time tomorrow. If we sacrifice a little bit tomorrow, we can have greater things down the road. So there is a major time management balance.
Right.
In looking at the success, and in my mind, that I have to be able to run the businesses and make those connections with people to enrich their lives and still enrich my family's life. As I could be very successful. I could promise you that I have the work ethic and the drive to be a multimillionaire, but I would probably sacrifice my family. Right. And I'm not going to do that. So again, that goes back to the dollar value. I could be a very rich man monetarily. Right. And it could dwindle away fast. You could squander that away quickly. Right. But if I'm enriching lives along the way, what kind of legacy am I leaving?
That's right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And I think that's why I really wanted to have this conversation, because I think and I could be wrong here. I mean, I could be absolutely wrong in what I'm about to say. But I believe that some people are fearful of success.
Yes, I believe that too.
I believe some people are fearful because of what success, what it requires. Now, again, I'm not saying people are lazy. I'm not saying that by far, because I believe there are a lot of hardworking people out there that do what they do. They do their thing, right? They have their thing. But here's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Success is going to require more of you. True success. Because success, I've heard, is a journey. And that journey is continuous. So, for example, if you have someone that just hits the lotto, right? In a lot of ways, people say, oh, that's success, right? But what they don't realize on the back end of that, now the work really begins, right? Now the work begins. And now, as a result of that work beginning, now you have to start budgeting. You have to start, putting money to the side. you got people that are going to start begging and everything like that.
Oh yeah. Have you've seen the show The Lottery Ruined My Life, right?
I've not seen that show.
Oh man. Yeah. So so for a lot of people, if they're living out someone else's dream, and then their dream starts to become reality, but it's handed to them,
right,
then they don't know how to handle it. They don't know what to do with it.
Really?
And it can destroy their life.
Absolutely. That's phenomenal. Listen, man, we got a great guy that just joined on, everybody. This is my man, 200 grand, Mr. Rene Reyes, all the way from the Woodlands, Texas. How we doing, bro?
Doing good. How are you guys doing? How's everybody doing out here?
Yeah, man. Good, man. Listen, we're talking tonight about the price of success. And are you willing to pay for it? And I remember the last time you got on the call, man, you electrified everybody, man. You shocked people, you know, again, just with your testimony, you know, about what it is. And I forgot what we were talking about then, right? But we want to talk about the price of success. And so we started off talking about what is success to you and how do you define success. And we've just kind of been going around. The conversation has kind of been just spiraling along. So we'll get your take on that, man. Talk to me.
So success, huh? And what does success mean to me? I mean, man, you know, that's a loaded question. You know, that's a tough one for a lot of people. I think for me, success, you know, the thing that I'm chasing the most, you know, I don't know why, but when Brady, you know, Rod announced retirement, I've been watching him. And his videos are like crazy, right? I've been watching him nonstop, morning, night, everything. I've been watching. And I get emotional watching him. And my wife says, you know, if it gets you emotional, it's because maybe you relate a lot to him. You know, so for me, I'll tell you what success is for me. You know, kind of like what Brady left behind. I know it's enough football. Most people don't relate it to business, but I think it has a lot to do with business, how people play sports and their mindset and all that stuff. But if you look at Brady, and the one thing that I captured when he retired and everybody was posting his retirement is the people that were commenting on his retirement. You know, the amount of people and the people that were actually commenting. I mean, you're talking about GOATs in their own right. You know, it could be in business, in other sports that had nothing to do with football. And I'm like, bro, look at these names on the, hey, the GOATs. Hey, you know, congratulations. You know, hey, you know, Brady, on your retirement. Thank you for everything you've done. And I'm like, so for me, the way I look at success is not, and you think about what he's been able to do, and not only for him, but to the Patriots and to some of his teammates and what they've been able to do. So I think for me, success, the way I look at it, is not just what you achieve, but what you help others achieve and the impact you leave behind after you're gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the way people look at it and the impact and how grateful they are. And did you change someone else's life? Because Brady didn't just change his last name. He changed the Patriots, the way people look at the Patriots. And not only did he change the Patriots, but because he did for what he did for the Patriots, he changed the way people look at NFL, right? And the sport itself. Because you're talking about Serena Williams, you know, you're talking about Tiger Woods. We're looking at these sports, you know, at football. So for me, is like the way I look at success, the way I would define success for me is if I'm gone one day, did I help everybody else along the way? Did I make an impact in someone else's life? Did I help other people's lives get better, not just mine, right? That's the way I think I look at success for me. I just want to be able to make a freaking difference and make it such a big impact that it doesn't just affect my family, my generation, but affects everybody else around me and the projects that I'm working on to be better, you know, way better than when I found them. So for me, that's the way I look at success. It can be many different things. Some people relate it to money, to items, to different things. But for me, it's just changing people's lives, man. Yeah. I want to make a freaking difference and an impact.
Yeah, and that's funny because that's been the consensus tonight. The consensus has been all about the fact of pouring into people, raising the harbor. That's what they say. Because again, it's a selfish individual that thinks that you can have success alone. Because while in theory you can have success alone, but then who's going to be there to share it with you, right? You know, who's going to be there to be, you know, when you talk about the Bradys, right? Like for me, I think about Kobe. And I won't start this argument on here, but y'all know how I feel. LeBron will never be better than Kobe. I don't care what nobody say, right? Because what happened was, when we talk about success, Kobe was so obsessed with greatness, right? That even though he went about it a different way, he made people better. Mm-hmm. His mindset allowed him to get to the point where he had so much success, right? Again, the scoring titles, all those things, the championships, throw that out. Just his impact on the game. I'll never forget how the last year he played, every team he played gave him 24 seconds. They gave up 24 seconds to Kobe Bryant. That's impact, right? That's when you know that you have really, really impacted. When your competitors say you're retiring, but we honor you so much, bro, we're going to actually turn the ball back over. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
That for me says a lot. And so, but it comes when, you know, again, when you read about Kobe, you watch some of the stuff, how he poured into people outside of basketball, right? But again, it still came from his mindset. It still came, we were talking earlier, and I was talking a little bit about success and how it has to be measured, right? And he was talking about he'll shoot 1,000 shots a day. And I remember I watched one of his videos and how he said he never negotiated with himself. And this is when we talk about the price of success, there's a cost. There's a cost for him to be Kobe Bryant. There's a cost that came with that Mamba mentality. And so that's kind of what we're talking about. So we know the result of it, but let's talk a little bit about the price. And so, Coach, I want you to talk just a little bit, man, from your standpoint. What has been the price of the success that you and your family have had, man?
Man, I tell you, Rod, you know, that's one of the big, that's another good one. You know, I like to talk to my son a lot about this side, more about than just the winning, more about the price, right?
Right.
More about the price you got to pay, because, you know, for us, when we came through, you know, I think a lot of people, when they think about, you know, winning in anything, whether it's business, college, you know, whatever it is you're doing,
that's right.
You know, people say, hey, what's the difference between people that win and people that don't? Mm-hmm. Right. And I'll tell you, there's no difference except for one thing. Okay. People don't like to face success, because success is a lot like entrepreneurship. It's gonna make you look at every single one of your things that you avoided, that you don't like about yourself, that you don't want to look at it. You know, it's kind of looking at yourself in the mirror naked. Some of us like it, some of us don't like the way we look. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't like those flabby areas, right? But that's exactly what entrepreneurship and success exposes in you, right? And it exposes them, because in order for you to be successful, you got to be better in those areas. That's right. Period. Right? Because if we were meant to be successful from the beginning, we would be where we want to be already, right? But we have to go through a process. So for me, man, let me just tell you, it was a lot of different things, you know, Rod. It was a lot of, hey, I gotta, you know, self-educate. That was one thing that as a Latino, I didn't do a lot. Nobody ever taught me about self-education, pouring into myself, growing myself. I think a lot of people want to see themselves up here, right? What does it say? John Maxwell said this at the convention that we had recently. We got uphill dreams, but we got downhill habits.
That's right.
Right. That's right. And that's exactly the point for a lot of people, because we're watching the wrong things. We're watching the wrong examples, not because they're trying to be wrong, but just because that's the way they've been, and they're watching other people do it before them. So for me, I had to unlearn a lot of things, right? Unlearn a lot of things and rewire my mindset by self-education. That's how you do that. You got to reprogram this, right? When you, what's the first thing you get? Every freaking iPhone, every Samsung, we get annoyed by this. Every once in a while, you get an alert. Hey, we got to update your phone. Do you want to do it now or 1 a.m., right? All of us click that 1 a.m. because we don't want to update now because it takes forever to update, right? Well, what are they doing with those updates? They're getting out those kinks from your phone, from your program, to make it better, to make it faster.
That's rich.
You reading books is exactly you upgrading your mindset. You're upgrading your point of view, your point of thinking, the way of processing issues. So for me, it was a lot of that, Ron. And then the second thing on that is, you know, a lot of, I wouldn't say sacrifice, because I think people have a bad connotation with the word sacrifice, but, you know, they think about it, you know, as a, oh my God, I got to sacrifice. No, I think a sacrifice is not a good word to describe it, but I think it's just postponing, you know, hanging out with friends, hanging out with family, you know, disappearing for a little bit. You know, I think a lot of successful people say that you got to disappear for a little bit, right? And then once you stick your head back up, you're going to be where you want to be. But it was a lot of that. But I tell you what, I think for everybody that's on the line that you're saying, hey, is it worth it to go through all those things? Whether, you know, people are going to talk about you, whether, hey, I really got to go read books. Hey, I got to go lose weight, or, hey, I got to go study more. Whatever it is that you want to do, is it worth paying that price? And I tell you 1,000%. And let me tell you why. Because, yeah, you're going to pay a big price, whatever it is. For me, my wife was getting out of our comfort zone, you know, learning how to lead people, learning how to talk. You know, I hated to talk to in front of people. Now you got me on a podcast, you know, with Rod here, you know, like you guys, you know, speaking on stage. I used to hate this, talking to people. I didn't know. I never knew how to run a business. I never knew anything about, you know, being a business owner. I had to learn all those things. Right. So it was a lot of delayed gratification, a lot of paying the price on the learning aspect, you know, working on my business and working on myself. But I'll tell you one thing, man, is it worth it? 100%, man. I wish there was a camera on, how can I say this, Rod? In 90% of our conversations with my 16-year-old son, I wish there was a camera, because what I know today and what I learned from, you know, the books that I've read, the people I've been around, even from, by the way, even people like Roger guys that I've learned from, you know, I got so much value from Roderick, like you would not believe. And I told him this on a conversation the other day. You know, I'm learning from everybody, right? And this man has so much wisdom, just so you guys know, on the line. But I wish there was a camera, because the way I process conversations with my kid today, I remember one time, Rod, I was having this conversation with my son, and it was about, you know, dating age. You know, that's what they're dating. You know, girls, boys, all this conversation, right? So I'm having this conversation with my son before going into a meeting, and it's about a girl, right? And the way I processed it was the way I've been learning, that someone taught me how to process things, which was Patrick Bet-David, our CEO, you know, on a dream team call, learning how to deal with people, how to deal with the business. And I'm processing it just like he processed stuff with me in my business. And that's where I learned it from. And I'm going off in this conversation, you know, 15-minute conversation before I go into my appointment. And at the end of the conversation, my son got clarity. He says, Dad, you know what? You're right. Thank you for walking me through this process. Thank you for actually walking me through this, you know, and thinking this way. I appreciate you. Well, I hung up, not thinking anything of it, because I wasn't like, oh, you know, it was planned. I'm going to work this way, you know. I just naturally did it, because that's what I've been around. You become who you're around, right? And I look over, and Dalila's crying. My wife's crying. And she's crying, and I'm like, did I say something wrong? Did I give him the wrong advice? Replaying the conversation, replaying the entire conversation. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Right? I was in the zone, but you know what I mean? Did I do something wrong? And she's crying, and she looks at me and she says, honey, I wish I had a dad like you to have processed issues the way you just processed that issue with my son.
Wow. That's good.
And the only way I learned that is because I did pay the price, because I was willing to stick around, because I was willing to go through it, because I was willing to become better. Because yeah, you're going to suck at something out, you know, for a while, and then eventually you're going to become good at it. That's exactly what happened to me. And that's by the way, so for me, is it worth we're paying that price? 1,000%, because the dad that my 3 kids got today is 1,000,000% better than the dad they had 5 years ago. Wow. I promise you that. And I'm not saying because it's a, you know, different person, but it's a different mindset. That's right. Same heartbeat, same blood, you know, flowing through these veins, but it's a different mindset, a different chip. They got Renee 3.0 with better processing, better advice, better, you know, a guy that can see 10 steps ahead rather than 1 step ahead, right? Where I can teach them to be better and avoid things in life that I never got to avoid because no one taught me how to navigate. That's right. So for me, I'll tell you, Rod, 100% is it worth paying the price? Yeah, 100. I tell you guys, please pay the price. Whatever that price may be for everybody's a little bit different. But, you know, just so you guys know, success and you becoming the best version of you, you know, it requires you paying the price up front, full price, no discount. But if you're willing to do that, look, I promise you the person you're going to be, guys, 1,000 times better, but you're going to thank yourself and say, who the heck? I promise your wife one day is going to look at you and say, who the heck is this guy that I married? Who's this guy? And you're going to look at your wife and say, who is that lady? Yeah. I can't believe I married that woman. Absolutely. Right? But yeah, I'll tell you, Rod, that's a little bit about my story. Now, I could tell you so many other things, but that right there, becoming the person that I am today, meaning learning how to process, communicate with my wife better, is probably the highlight of paying the price. Besides everything else that we get with living, you know, working together, running a business and all that, that's 100% what, you know, that's something that I love and adore more than anything in the world. Absolutely. That's phenomenal. Bobby, get in there real quick.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So Renee, I'm so glad you shared that about your son, because that is what I was talking to Rod about right before you came on, is just how we got to pour into the people that is around us. And, you know, we've got to do what we can. That my measurement of success is enriching people's lives. And for as long as I've had kids, from day one of having kids, I've told my wife, that my ceiling will be their floor, that they won't have to start from the bottom like I have. They won't have to start from nothing. They won't have to learn all these things, like you said, that they get Bobby 2.0, 3.0, wherever I am at the end of my days, and that whatever I have, I've been able to give them that and get them to start from a better place than where I was, that my ceiling will be their floor.
100%. I love that.
Now, listen, Renee, I know you got to get ready to go, but I want to get your take on this one last thing before you have to bop out. So here I'm sharing the screen, and it talks about the cost of success. And it talks about late nights, early mornings, very few friends, being misunderstood, feeling overwhelmed, questioning your sanity, being your own cheerleader.
That's right.
But if you can see down at the bottom in the small portion, it says, but guess what? Don't give up. It's worth it. Talk a little bit about that from your perspective.
On the worth it part, or a couple of things on the list here?
The cost. About the cost.
About the cost? Man, let me just tell you, man. You know, I tell you that I get emotional with the Brady part, and I'm going to go back to that because I think a lot of people can relate to sports. You know, I'm a sports guy. I think a lot of people watch sports, whatever it is for you, golf, football, baseball, right? We all got a sport that we like, right? I know Bobby, you know, he likes, you know, he likes, this, you know, the punching sport, you know, the karate.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So everyone's got their sport, right? But I'll tell you, man, I think I relate to that guy because, you know, the one thing that you said earlier was the dedication. Right? You admire someone with so much dedication that is willing to stay the late nights, the early mornings, of watching the films, of breaking down films with the coach, you know, the getting better, the improvement, the obsessiveness, you know, to become the best version of themselves. So for me, man, that's what it was for me, Dalila. You know what's crazy? When I got started in entrepreneurship, it wasn't like I promised you guys, I didn't come off the gate, you know, I'm gonna go kill everybody, I'm gonna, you know, pay the price and I'm gonna be better than everybody. Guys, I promise you there was nights. There was days where I remember we used to get together to make phone calls in the office, and the main broker would walk around, you know, because we're learning how to make phone calls and all that stuff. Not to random people, would just, you know, learn how to make phone calls. And I would pretend, you know, the moment he would come in, oh, hey, Johnny, how are you, Johnny? Yeah, this is Renee. I would pretend to make a phone call because I was, you know, nervous. I was scared to talk to people, and you know, but you know what the funny thing is for me, you know, I think like I tell everybody, why I chose to become a little bit more obsessive with the late nights, the early mornings, so staying in the gym, eating healthy, reading books, you know, preparing my, you know, my message for my guys on Tuesdays, on Saturdays, on a Mondays, not winging things anymore. Because the reason I get emotional is because I hope one day, man, one day, the reason why I love, you know, watching Tom Brady, everybody loves, you can go see the highlight videos with the motivational music and the best highlights of him. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, if I was to die today, will my sons have a highlight of me like that? You know what I mean? Will they have highlights like that of me, like the best version? Daddy gave everything he got. Daddy woke up in the morning. Daddy stayed late nights. Daddy was reading books. Daddy was getting better. Daddy was improving. Daddy was making phone calls. Daddy was inspiring people. Like, would they play a highlight of me doing the like Daddy gave it everything he had, speaking on stage. He was inspiring people. You know, or would they have a highlight of him watching Netflix? Or would they have a highlight of him, you know, sleeping, you know, late? Would they have a highlight of him being lazy? Would they have a highlight of him, you know, not giving it everything he's got? That's right. The reason I said I'm gonna stay up late. I'm gonna make the phone calls. I'm gonna improve. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better health wise because that's what drives me. Because like I tell everybody, guys, look, everybody right here. I promise you, if we had a little, like we all got a little clock right here. Yeah. That little clock. We don't know if it says a day, a month, 10 hours, 20 hours, 36, you know, 4 years, 5 years, 20 years. We don't know.
That's right.
So for me, you know, it's crazy, Rod. The older that we're getting, the more of that conversation of people in your life, you know, especially of a 35 and above age, you know, people start passing away.
Yep.
Right. And it starts to scare you a little bit. Like in your 20s, you hear it, you're like, I'm good. You know, all of us have been there, right? Like, you know, we're good. But in your 30s, you start saying, okay, no, man, it can happen at any moment.
That's right.
You know, I heard a story yesterday of a guy at 35 years old getting a freaking heart attack. I'm like, what? Yep. 30? How old? I'm like, wait a second. No, repeat that again. 35? I'm 35. Like, what? What are you saying? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it scares you a little bit. So for me, though, that fear is not so much of dying. The fear is I didn't do enough.
Right.
I haven't done enough yet. I haven't given it everything I've got. I didn't pay the price yet. I haven't stayed up late. You know, I can do more. I can do more. Because the last thing, Rod, that I'll give you off with this, why I'm willing to do all this stuff, the late nights and all this stuff, guys. You know, the other day I took my son to the gym, and Dalila's like, why are you taking your son to the gym? He's 6 years old. He can't work out with you. I said, I'm taking him to the gym. Not because he's going to work out with me and I want him to do weights, but because, you know what I told her when I got back? She said, so tell me, why'd you take your son to the gym? I said, because one day when daddy's old, I hope he goes back and replays that his dad was one day awesome. I don't know. I imagine myself like a badass lion. I don't know, guys. Please forgive me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way I envision me. And I said, I hope one day he's got this memory of his dad at 30 years old working out at the gym, tearing it up at the gym, and saying, my dad was a badass. My dad gave it everything he got. He was at the gym, reading books, staying up late, you know, all these things. And I do all that, guys, because at the end of the day, you know, like I said, we all got a little bit of time, and we don't know how much time we have left. But if there's gonna be someone that's gonna go through the pain, I'd rather it be me, not my kids. I'd rather it be me and not my wife. I'd rather it be me and not anybody else, not my kids' kids. I want to pay that price. So for everybody here, man, if you're saying, hey, can I, you know, does it make a difference? Waking up early, staying up late, going to the gym, paying the price, does it make a difference? I'm telling you, it does. And the longer you're waiting to pay the price, the more expensive that price is going to get. I promise you, you're either going to pay it today or you're going to pay it tomorrow. You're going to pay it no matter what. The question is, how expensive do you want it to be? Because the longer and the more you delay to pay the price, the more expensive it's going to be in the back end. So I chose to pay it now, Ron, you know, and I tell you what, guys, because when you do that, and I don't know whether you run a business, you go to school, you get your degree, whatever your dream is, whatever you think is going to feel like to live that moment, I promise you it feels 1,000 times better. The conversation I'm having with my kids, the fun that I'm having now, because 5 years ago, Renee decided to pay the price, you know, early, you know, staying up early, getting better, improving, you know, having people talk mess about you because they're like, bro, you're running an insurance business. Come on, Renee, you're an oil and gas guy. Get the hell out of here, right? What are you going to give people advice for, bro? You lost your house. Who are you to give advice? Renee, who are you? You got no degree. You got no high school degree. But I chose to do it. And I did it. And today, you know, I'm having this fun time with my wife, fun time with my kids. And I could die tomorrow, man. And I'll tell you what, man, my kids, you know, my kids today have seen their daddy work their butt off. And they're knowing that their dad is fighting for their dreams to come true every single day. Rod, the conversations we're having today, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but we just announced something. We're going to go to Austin together. I don't know if you guys know that, right? We're about to go to Austin together for everybody in the team. And I said, you know, there was a time that I couldn't even afford gas if someone invited me to go to Austin. And now we're talking about renting, an entire house. For our guys to go cook, eat cigars, do all this stuff. And just because I decided 5 years ago that I was going to pay the price, because I decided to get out of my comfort zone, has it been hard? 100%.
Yep.
But you choose your heart. I promise you, you're going to have a heart. Yep. What heart you want is up to you. I chose to have the heart of reading the books, getting out of my comfort zone, rather than the heart of bills, heart of my mom gets sick, I don't have the money, rather than the heart my kids want to go to nice college, I don't have the money, I don't got the funds. I don't want that heart. I'd rather get this heart.
That's right.
But you choose your heart. But anyways, paying the price has been one hell of a thing, but I tell you what, it's worth it. And I can guarantee you, everybody on the line, like a Roderick, that I've seen pay the price. And I can't wait for you guys to hear more of this gentleman's story. And I keep talking about this every time I come up. Because I told him the other day, just so you guys know, sometimes even a guy like this, that some people say, will you lead people? Even a guy like this needs inspiration. And sometimes the inspiration doesn't come from a Tom Brady or things that I watch, but it comes from watching someone like a Roderick fighting for his dreams and his wife, even though they've gone through a lot of things that they gone through. And it makes me want to go pay the price even more, because I said, man, I got a guy like that running with me in my corner. Yep. I'm going to go get better myself. So I want you guys to know that, man. But Rod, that's my take on it. I can give you a whole hour on the price of what we've gone through, but I want you guys to know that that's honestly my story. You know what I mean?
Agreed. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's phenomenal. And again, I'm gonna let you go because I know you were hanging out with the kids, but I will say this is that the price is definitely worth it. And I think, you know, one of the things that, you know, I've learned once I, you know, started working with you all, and something that has, you know, kind of become cemented in me is the why, the power of the why. And in my opinion, I think when it comes to success, a lot of people don't understand that you literally have to count up the cost and ask yourself, is your why greater than the sum?
That's right.
Is your why worth more than the sum, right? Because again, a lot of times we get discouraged because we're like, well, and for whatever reason, I'm not the fastest, smartest, whatever the case may be.
That's right.
And sometimes that why, we even forget about our why. And one day I'll share with everybody on here, but I'm not going to do it until I do it. But my why for why I'm here on a Saturday morning very early, why I'm here late at night every night, right? There's a reason to my why, because that why is tied to my success. And I can say this, and again, you know, with your help and support, Generational Wealth Builders has now grown. You know, we're growing consistently.
That's right.
And now we're about to officially be on the map. And so now we're at a point where it's like, hey, man, you know, now that we're here at this point, you know, now the success has just begun, if I can say it like that.
That's right.
It's not about just getting the watch. It's not just about getting the ring. It's not just about having $1 million, because it's bigger than that. Because that's why I put that portion on the back end about, are you willing to pay for it? Because your why is what's going to continue to drive you after you've gotten $1 million, after you've done all these things. Your whys are going to tell whether or not success, you know, it's going to allow you to determine. And again, if we look at Brady, right? Brady was put in, if I'm not mistaken, because somebody else got hurt.
Got injured. That's right.
But if that would have not, and so he goes out there and he competes. And he competes because his why is that he wanted that position. He didn't go out there like, well, man, I'm just a backup. And man, I'm just going because he's hurt. I'm going to be out. No, bro went in there and started gunslinging, right? And that's right.
That's right.
Coach, listen, I won't hold you up, man. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your wisdom.
Guys, thank you, guys.
We'll be talking at you soon.
Nah, thank you guys for having me on, man. It's phenomenal. By the way, you guys got to tune into this every time. I see Rod on here. He's dropping nuggets, dropping bombs. And by the way, with Bobby as well, because he's a leader himself. You know, so they're always dropping wisdom on here. But Rod, thank you guys for having me on, man. Appreciate you guys.
Cheers.
Good to see you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bobby, I know we've been talking a lot, man. Go ahead and get you a piece of this, man.
No, man, you're good. I was breaking up a lot in there. I had to move around and try to get things to kind of reconnect. He was going to town, and I started getting bits and pieces, man. But man, I mean, it's just the stuff is so rich that I'm gonna have to really go back and watch again. But golly, how do we get so much information in so little time?
Yeah,
you know, it's such a good discussion this evening. You know, that how we all fit together in our same idea of success, and you know what our focus is for our business, and the opportunities for our cities.
Yep.
You know, look at what we have. We have such a rich place to pour into. We have so many people out there that we can continue to see their lives changed. And we have the drive. We are our own cheerleaders. You know, I appreciate you, man, for always being in my corner. You know, it's just like being a boxer. You and I were watching boxing earlier, and you know, you're my coach, just constantly cheering me on, saying, get back in there, take another swing. You know, watch out for this one. This one's coming with that left hook.
That's right.
So
and it came too, right?
you're always on top of your game, and you pour so much into my life that my success is also enriched by yours. And I greatly appreciate your influence and everything for you that you do for me.
Well, man, listen, I appreciate you. Again, you're my brother. And I'm just glad, you know, because like we talk about the enrichment, like I can't tell you how proud I was, you know, when we went to Vegas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For us to, riding a
Man,
limo.
what an experience. Dude, there was more energy in that room. If they could have powered the city with the energy in that room, they'd
Indeed,
still be running off of it.
indeed. But for me, the whole reason why my wife and I did what we did was because we wanted. I know firsthand. There's not a lot of times when people will pour into you, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I can remember those times, like wishing somebody would just be like, "Hey, man, I see you. I do see you." And so, you know what? Let me give you this little bit right here.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So, to all those people out there that are struggling and thinking, how can I make it? Just keep your head up, keep grinding, don't quit. So one thing, I've had a lot of wise people in my life, and one guy, he actually posted a picture inside the maintenance office in one of the places that I go, and it said, the process may be slow, but quitting won't speed it up. And that has been such a golden nugget in my life, and I want you to, somebody out there that's struggling and somebody's thinking, I can't make it, it's not going to happen. It will. Just hold on. The process may be slow.
That's right.
But quitting won't speed it up.
It won't. Absolutely. That's phenomenal. Well, look, we're going to get ready to close out here because I got to go sink my teeth into some fish.
Right.
But I do want to say this, and it's kind of what I was just talking about, my why. You have to know what your why is, right? You can't be a cheerleader, or should I say, you can't successfully be a good cheerleader if you don't understand your why, right? And I know some people talk about they have mantras for themselves that every day, you're great, you're wonderful, you're this, you're that. Hey, bro, if that works for you, I'm not that guy, right? I'm an analytical guy. I'm very, very analytical. And so my thing is I need to have something that I can measure to. And in that measurement, right, I have the end game. But what I've also done, I've also put little benchmarks along the way. And so with that being said, if I could leave anything with the group on tonight, if I could leave anything that will help you understand the price of success is actually worth it, and why you need to make up your mind to pay the cost. You have to be willing to pay the cost. I love what you said. Quitting is not going to bring success any closer, but you have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, well, I want to go into business, or I want to go to college, to become a such and such. And I ask them, especially our young people today, why are you going to college? Well, because I got to go to college. You don't have a why.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a why, again, and I'm not saying this to be negative. I'm not saying this to tear nobody down. And if you take it like that, then you just want to. But what you're telling me is you don't have a plan. And so what's going to happen, because you're not sold on your why, you're going to waste that money. You're going to go out there, and what you didn't want to do, you're going to find yourself doing. Why? Because you did not have a why. The purpose of having a business plan is to put down your why on paper, because you are going to have to do late nights. You are going to have to do early mornings. You are going to have to miss out on birthdays. You are going to have to miss out on this. You're not going to be able to go to everything that everybody has. You're not going to be able to do the things. You're going to be misunderstood. People aren't going to understand why you're doing what you're doing. But you've got to understand your why, because here's what's going to happen. When you get to the place where your why makes itself manifest, that's when you're going to find yourself, and you're going to turn around, and there are going to be so many people there to celebrate you and your why. They're going to be able to celebrate you, and they don't know why they're celebrating you. And that's why I use Kobe Bryant, man. I love the Mamba mentality. I love it. I followed this guy. I remember when he came in, bro, he came in with attitude, man. Like, yeah, I want Jordan. I'm like, ooh, bro. Hey, ho. And there was a whole lot of other people that had been in the league, like, hey, you know, they even got the little joke saying, hey, don't say nothing to Black Jesus, right? He went right at it. And what I love about it was because he wanted to be great, because he wanted to be one of the greatest of all time. What did he do? He went and partnered with Jordan, and he learned Jordan, and he came and in his own way, he perfected Jordan. The game style is the same except it's him. You get what I'm saying? Because where Jordan's dunks were, you know, just kind of hard, you know, Kobe's were kind of in your face. You see what I'm saying? He had that youthful, that vigor that he was you get what I'm saying? But then he also had the same experience as Jordan, that shot that he had where he threw his leg out just like Jordan. And I know a lot of people knock him for that. I guarantee you won't say nothing to him. I'm not on the
That's right. That's right.
But my point being, what drove him like that was his why. And that's what I want to leave tonight with everybody tonight. Find out what your why is. The price of success, as you've heard from Bobby, as you've heard from Renee, who's a senior vice president in the life insurance industry, financial services industry, and a very great friend. The price is worth it. The price is definitely worth it. But you have to find out what your why is. Nobody can give you your why. Can I help you? Social media is not going to give you your why. It's just not.
Right.
Social media tells you their why. They keep you engaged, you know, funding their why. But what about your why? Isn't your why worth it? Aren't you better than that? Isn't there something more that you want in life? And I'll end with this, and Bobby, you can have the last word. But regret is the cancer that will stay with you your whole life. When you don't do what you know that you're capable of doing, when you don't sell out to your why, you are going to find yourself regretting your life. Oh, man. I remember when I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I had sold out to the military. I was ready to do everything, man. I was, you know, I was ready. I was that guy, man. Rah, you know, spit shined, all this, man. You know, Yo Joe, you know, Super Trooper, all of that other stuff. But I remember, bro, that the one thing that I wanted was to be able to say, you know what? Even though I'm a government issued, I got to go where the Army tell me to go. I got to do what they tell me to do. The one thing that I wanted was to be able to do it kind of my way as far as career advancement. And so I had wanted to go to airborne school where you jump out of airplanes. And I was going to go to Ranger school, but I wanted to go to airborne school first and come back. And then I was going to prepare to go to Ranger school. You get what I'm saying? Well, I had an individual who decided that, you know, Hick, I think you'd be better if you did this, this, and this. And so what he did, he pulled my packet. And when he pulled my packet, I got pissed. I was livid. I was like, you had no right to do this, that, and the other, right? And so here's what I did, thinking that I was hurting him. And this is why when people talk about racism, they'll find that I have a very, very different viewpoint of racism. You can't stop me from doing anything. You can't. It can't. Well, should I say I've learned that it can't. Mm-hmm. And so when he pulled my packet, I started, man, I'm brooding and everything. Man, Army and all this, that, and that. And I mean, I'm going all in, bro. And I remember a guy named Sergeant Mitchell. I can't remember his first name. I wish I could find him so that I could thank him. But Sergeant Mitchell said, put in another packet. But he pulled my packet out, put in another packet. And now that I think about that, you know the reason why I didn't put in another packet? Because Ranger School was not my why. So I allowed what happened to deter me from doing what I said I wanted to do. But guess what? I wasn't really sold on going to Ranger School. Does that make sense? Because if I wanted to go to Ranger School, once he told me, hey, man, put it in another pocket, You right, saw it, and there I go to put in the packet. And so that's what I just want to let everybody know. As I pass the mic to Bobby and I'm done, I don't care what it is that you've come up against. I don't care what it is that you faced. I don't care how many times you faced it. If your why's involved, find a way. Go ahead, Bobby, take it away.
Yeah. So what I want to say is, right along that same kind of mindset and lines is that so many people are afraid of failure.
Mm-hmm.
They won't go after success because they're afraid to fail. But you got to understand that failure, what seems like failure, is a learning point. It's a place where you learn, hey, maybe I don't do it this way. Maybe I need to do it a different way. But you learn so much more from failure. We learn from pain and failure. And we remember better when pain, sickness, and failure is involved. So if we are afraid to fail, then we will not see success, because you have to try some things that, even like Renee said, you have to get out of your comfort zone.
That's right.
And I can't remember for the life of me right now. There is a very large business and successful company that came from being told 700 times or more no when he tried to get a business loan. And then, there's a product that we call, it's WD-40. The rumor, the legend of that product is that it failed 39 times, and the 40th time the formula was right to work. And then they got success from that. So if we don't try, if we're not willing to see some failure at some point,
that's right,
then we'll be too afraid to get out of our comfort zone and achieve success.
All day, every day. Listen, man, that's rich. And I believe that company was Amazon. I think I've heard it.
Amazon. Yes, it was Amazon.
I think it was Jeff Bezos. But,
yes, sir. Yes, you're right.
That's phenomenal that you say that, because, again, it's all about trying. And a lot of people don't try. And I guess they feel like justified, if that's the right word, that they can blame such and such that they're not successful. The man is the reason why I ain't successful, right? The man keeping me down and keeping his foot on my neck. I ain't got the degree, and I ain't got this, and I ain't got that done. For every excuse that you have, there's so many people that have done so much more, to achieve in life, and not just achieve, but to achieve success, true success. And so, man, I'm just encouraged to, based on what I've heard, based on the conversation. And like I say, I'm going to probably keep this topic for a little while, because my hope is that people will be motivated, especially with the economic climate where we're heading to right now, right? With the inflation steadily going up, right? With jobs steadily closing down, the price of everything continuing to go up. And oh, by the way, I told people this was going to happen when they talked about raising the minimum wage. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, right? But again, what it boils down to, man, is that we've got to get to a place where we realize that we own our future, that we own our success, that if we're not willing to do it, nobody else is going to do it for you.
That's right.
And ultimately, they don't care about where you are. It's immaterial to them, because why would it be material to them? It's your life. You have to do it. And that's one of the lessons that I've learned, that if I want success, I'm going to have to do it, right? I can be successful on somebody else's job, but here's the thing. What if that job tells me go home?
That's right.
What if that job say, hey, bro, sorry, we're closing down? I talked with a young man that's on the cusp of entering the business last night or yesterday out in California. And I was talking with him. He said, Rod, I'm looking for something, man, because, bro, I got laid off. He was like, and when I got laid off, he was like, my situation, bro. He was like, My wife couldn't work. She got this and this going on. She's pregnant, blah, blah. He said, I don't ever want to be in that position where I feel so helpless. And I was like, bro,
Yep.
I feel you, right? And so that's how we're growing, because people like that have been burned by life, have been force-fed failure, and they could choose to swallow it up, or you could choose to get up and fight. And I'm glad to know you're a fighter. Like I say, glad to know you're here with us. You and your lovely bride, Tiffany P. Clary, aka the Ninja.
The Ninja, that's right.
Watching somewhere, so she's probably gonna give me crap about that. But either way, but again, the fact that, you know, we're able to allow our children to see success, we're able to pour success into them, we're able to give them the tools and the resources that we didn't have. It's nothing more than a blessing from the Lord. Well, listen, to everybody out there, thank you all that joined, thank you all that listened, thank you all that liked and will share, or will listen to it later on, because you don't want me to call you out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, again, it's your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, here with Bobby, the money man, Clary, CEO of Legacy Bridge Builders. And we are all here to help you grow your financial freedom. We're here to help you develop a roadmap to generational wealth. That's what we do. So you can inbox either one of us. You're going to get the same level of world-class service. And so we love you all. May the Lord bless you. God bless and good night.